Alright, so today we are going to assemble the little jar today, okay? So you should have had everything cut out. So I don't know how many of you all tried print and cut, but it's pretty amazing to watch. I did, because when we did our lesson, I didn't have a chance to, I wanted to show you the difference. When I was showing you guys the Cricut design space, I told you that if you go up to the edit bar and you choose print when you're doing all the text, that you're going to end up with a different outcome than if you just use flatten. And so I wanted to be able to show you the difference, what happens, so that if you end up with this, you know why it happened. So if you take a look at this one, you can see it tried to cut out each individual letter. So I'm going to try to pull this up because it is a big old mess and it's going to probably rip on me. Yep. So you can see it tried to cut out every single letter. And this is the one where I went up in the edit bar and I changed everything to a print, then cut through the edit bar. So what happened was it printed everything for me. You can see that, you know, the words are black, but it also tried to cut out each letter. So if this happens to you, it's because you went up into the edit bar and you tried to do the print. And we talked about the difference. If you're doing kind of a single layer item, going up to the print works just fine. But when you're doing multiple layers, especially when it comes to text, you want to use that flatten feature. And then when you use the flatten feature, that's when you get the tag that we actually wanted for our project. Okay, so you should have, depending on what jar you ended up with, some type of jar. You should have your all of your little parts and pieces cut out. Now you're going to notice these are different colors than I used earlier. I have boys, of course, most of you know that. So this one will end up going to my daughter, and then I'm making a boyish one to give to a son. So you're going to see the difference. This one I did use all of the Perfect Match papers, and I think Margie posted some stuff she was doing with Perfect Match. You can see it just has all kinds of wonderful little Valentine things to it. So this one is mostly Perfect Match components mixed with a couple of other odds and ends. And then this one is basically from my scrap bin. And I wanted, like I said, I wanted to do more of a boyish one. So we are going to start out by making the rosette that's on the top. And let's make sure I grab the right set. So I cut one of these where I forgot to put in my score tool. And so I have a set where I didn't score them. And then I have a set where it's scored. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you. You forget to put in a tool and you're like, great. Now I got to go back and figure that out. All right, so with rosettes, you should have cut 2 pieces. We talked about how you measure the rosette. And I told you guys it needs to basically be the radius of the jar top. So it's half the distance across the jar so that you know that your rosette's going to be wide enough. And you have these little score lines. You're just going to do a mountain valley fold. So you're just going to do kind of an accordion right along those score lines. I'm just going to use my fingernail, and then I usually do like 3 or 4, and then I'll grab my little, that one's a little crooked. I just usually grab my scraper. If you have a bone folder, that works too, and just kind of crisp it a little bit there. And we're just going to accordion fold both of these. There's a lot you could do with this. You could definitely make these for a party. You could make them for a baby shower. It'd be fun at Christmas time. Just change out a couple of the, change out the sentiment and the hearts. Just finishing this little accordion fold. Like I said, if you have a bone folder, it works. I have the scraper, it works. All right, so you should have 2 accordion fold pieces. Then we're going to glue those 2 pieces together. I like using liquid glue just because it's a little bit more durable. And if you're using Close to My Heart cardstock, just make sure you're gluing the right sides together. Close to My Heart cardstock is light on one side and dark on the other. And I don't know how many times I have glued the wrong pieces because I didn't pay attention to the light versus the dark side. All right, so I'm just going to glue these 2 together. And I might end up having to refold here because I didn't pay attention. Flatter edges. I found these in a clearance bin at King Soopers, which is kind of funny. And then I've also found jars at like country stores. So like Tractor Supply, you can find some odd shaped jars or colored jars at Tractor Supply. All right, so because I didn't pay attention, I am going to have to refold this second half because I want that Mountain Valley to continue. So I just need to go in and I'm just gonna have to flip these going the other direction. Just so I have one continuous Mountain Valley, Mountain Valley. I've got this little fan shape. And then I'm going to glue down my other end. Kind of let those sit a second before I go on to the next step. Be traditional. All right, so I am going to get back on track. I'm going to show you the trick that I learned to make the rosettes. I think, was it Carolyn? I think Carolyn told me that she, or no, maybe Lynn, hot glue. Yes, hot glue. So I do have a hot glue gun here. So, this is how I learned to put together rosettes. If you really want to, when I first started, I was using these little 1-inch glue dots to try to stick them together, and I just got so stinking frustrated. And then someone showed me how to use a hot glue gun, and it was awesome. So Lynn, I think you're the one that has done this before too. So we're gonna make sure I don't burn myself, but the easiest way that I have found to put the rosettes together is to put a blob of hot glue here. And I've got my all-purpose mat. I've seen people do it on wax paper. The all-purpose mat is intended for heat. So that's why I like to use it. I need another glue stick in here. So I'm just going to put a little blob of hot glue down. And then... oh, glue stick just fell out on the floor. You're going to gather up that little rosette. And mine's not going to behave, of course, because I'm on camera, you know. Because, you know, that's the way it works every time. Alright, there it goes. So, you've got that little rosette, which, of course, then it did it again. And we're just going to pick it up and plop it right, and look what I did. Yeah, see, this is what happens when you're on camera. So we're going to have to get all those little... thank goodness we have a tag that's going to cover that up. Alright, so we're just going to plop that down in the hot glue there. See, and this is why I don't do live videos. That's why I do a lot of YouTube. You should see how much stuff gets edited out of my YouTube videos. Like, oh yeah, there goes that camera. Oh, there goes that camera. All right, and then I'm just going to take those little round dots that we created and just going to put a little hot glue dot on there. and just pop it down on the center. And then while that glue is still warm, you can kind of fiddle with it if you want it to be a little bit wider. If you want, you know, your little parts to be a little bit more spread apart. And then I'm just going to kind of let it sit there and cool for a few minutes while we work on the other parts of it. So that is how I learned to do rosettes. I don't know if there's an easier way or a faster way. Lynn? Lynn said she made, I think it was Lynn who said she made an entire tree out of these. So I'm just going to let that kind of sit there a minute. All right. So I'm going to start putting together some of my other parts and pieces here. And I actually have, I found, these are super cute. Around Christmas time or canning season, you can find decorative can or jar toppers in all sorts of colors and all kinds of fun designs in the jelly aisles. So whenever these go, well, I usually get them at the after Christmas sales because nobody buys them at Christmas. Nobody does canning at Christmas. But I have found a couple of these that I collect just for this purpose because then they look really cute on top. All right, so I am going to start assembling this while that dries. Oh, she says she puts the glue on the circle. That makes sense. Yeah, I've always been told you put the glue right here on the mat. I will have to dry the glue on the circle next time. All right, so like I said, this is more of a masculine one. I've got this little strip of polka dots for my lace. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that down right on top. We talked in Design Space that when I do strips like this, I'll put them into Design Space just so I can see what it would look like when I'm designing it, but I don't cut them out on my Cricut just because I don't like that the Cricut wastes paper. All right, so this is going to get wrapped around the jar. Okay, so you can put sticky on the whole thing if you want. For me, it depends on the jar. These jars, like I said, the reason I really like these octagon jars is stuff really stays on them well. So all I have to do is put sticky on here. The round jars are a little bit trickier. So I usually have to kind of put some adhesive down and then wrap. If you've got the whatever brand name, I usually try to stick that to the back just so I don't have to have it showing. I'm just going to wrap that around. If you are doing this as a decorative piece, like you're going to have this displayed in your house, I would suggest you use more of like a score tape or a red tape, something that's a little bit more durable. For me, since these jars are probably going to get reused, you know, my kids will bring them back and want them refilled again. I usually do stuff that's pretty temporary that then I can go back and use the jar again for another holiday. All right, so I have, like I said, this one's more of a masculine. So I've picked kind of a, I couldn't even tell you. I think a lot of this stuff was probably Christmas. But I've just got like this kind of craft colored polka dot piece. We're going to go right across the top of the jar here, just because I like to cover it. And like I said, everything that I put on here is very temporary because I will reuse the jar. So I just use my regular tape runner. If if you are doing this as a home decor piece or you really want it to be something that is used over and over, I would suggest different adhesives. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna put the little hugs on. I tried to attempt a hot air balloon out of paper one time and that was just about the death of me. But I would love to see them. I'm sure they're absolutely gorgeous. All right, so whenever I do words on a little tag like this, I always do the first letter and then I do the last letter and then I put the rest of the letters down just because that helps me with spacing. I have seen some people who lay everything down and then they pick it up and make sure it goes right back. The other thing that I've done before, if it's a really long word, I have used my Post-it tape to pick it up. I actually did a video recently where I showed how I put down sticker titles using wax paper. Because on my sticker titles, I'll use wax paper to make sure all my letters are perfectly straight. Because stickers are hard. Like with this, the way it has lines, I know it's going to be straight because I'm, you know, putting it down on the lines, you know. But when it comes to stickers, inevitably you mess that up. And so I did a video recently where I was showing how I put all my stickers on wax paper and then I put them on my layout. So I don't know how well you can see this. This one does have lines too. This tag I cut from, let me see if I can find it. It was this sheet in the Perfect Match. So that's what I cut this tag from. This one was just a lined paper that I had, and it's kind of a craft colored, toffee colored line. So I used it. I've been trying to use up my stash. That's been our, whoops, that was a lot of glue. Our creative design team has been challenging people to use their stash this month. And so we as a creative design team are trying to use up as much of our stuff as we possibly can. And it's been amazing what I find that I forget I had. I mean, I'm pretty organized. I usually go through my stuff about once a year and purge, but it's still just amazing how much you collect. All right, so I've got the little hugs on here. I've backed it. I don't know how many of you did the frame too. I backed it and then I've just stuck it on some foam tape for that, for the front of the jar there. All right, and then we've got some little hearts. And again, these hearts, I did one in black in that XO and one in red to match the theme of this jar. This one, I think this one is actually from an outdoor. No, it might be Christmas. It might be a Christmas one. Yeah, it's Christmas. I'm looking at the back. So, but it's more masculine. And then I also did the XOXO because, you know, either way, he's going to get some type of hearts on there. All right, I'm going to check that, see if this is, yep, that's nice and cool. So it's a big mess on the back because I misplaced it. But you can see that and it's going to be hidden. It doesn't matter. And if you feel like you want it to be a little bit more secure, you can add that little second circle. Whew, that glue is hot. And normally I'm not this messy when it comes to the rosettes, but inevitably, every time I'm on camera, it happens. I'm planning on starting to go live on my public Facebook page once a week. I'm a little bit worried about that. All right, so I am going to put some little decorations on this heart here. I love using my white gel pen whenever I can. And so I am just going to just create some little kind of shadowy decorations on here. I think this might come from my paper piecing days. You know, you used gel pens whenever you could to kind of decorate your little items. So did you all do littler jars or did you do some larger jars? Because I know you could have done some, like, you know, they have the big old, you know, 20-gallon pickle jars. You could have done those. All right. And I'm adhering mine down with foam tape just because I like the look of foam tape. We're just going to layer those little hearts down. Pretty easy. Okay, so we have the front all done. And that just, it's a totally different look with the different colors. You can see this has, you know, the black and the plaid with a little bit of red versus the pink. Just gives me a different look for, you know, for the guy that's going to get it. All right, so I'm going to grab some twine on my twine bin here. I'm hearing dogs bark outside. There must be a dog loose. And I've got some little wooden buttons. And our buttons, they do have like little heart shapes if you'd like a heart shape. You could use like an actual button if you'd want. Or I'm sure you've got all kinds of loveliness in your stash. You could put a sticker on there. I'm just doing the little button that's going right here on the tag. I don't know. I like using little things like the buttons and the, you know, just the wooden three-dimensional elements are fun for me. It just kind of gives it a little bit of character, kind of a little bit of whimsy. Then you can do a little bow if you want, depending on how talented you are. For me, it depends on the day, if my fingers are going to cooperate. There we go. So what kind of candies are you guys planning on putting in here? Or are you doing something different? Money, gift cards, cookies. I guess if you did a big jar, you could put some cookies inside. Right. That would be really cute. Since I want to reuse this, I'm actually just going to use a glue dot to pop this on the lid. And this is just like a big old glue dot, and I just used my last one. I mean, mine, since they say hugs, I actually thought of putting, you know, hugs inside, and I might, you know, sneak a little gift card or something in there for a kid. All four of ours are in their 20s, so gift cards are always nice to get. I think gift cards are nice for any age, but when you're in your 20s, sometimes you don't get, you know, some of those fun things you used to get when you lived at home. So, you know, gift card to a fast food restaurant or, you know, a place where you shop is always a treat. All right, so we just got the little tag here. I'm actually going to try to place it where I can hide my glue mess. And then we've got the little button. You guys must be really concentrating because everybody's so quiet all of a sudden. Let's see. Place that in the wrong spot, of course. I'm just like all thumbs today. Try that again. All right. Then, since I have it on a little topper, I can spin it so I have it the direction I want it to go, if, you know, you're worried about that. All right, and then I have these cute little, these are my favorite little confettis lately. They're part of the Perfect Match. And they're hard plastic. They look like they would be that fun foam, but they're hard plastic. And they're just fun to use. So I am going to use them on my jar here as decorations. And there's like 3 colors in there, or 4 colors. There's a white, black, like a mint green, and a pink. I got some little white hearts there. We're doing, huh? So right now I'm just adding the little confetti just because it's always fun to decorate whenever you can. Let's see, do I want to? Yeah, I think I'm gonna put a little black one on top of the bow there. My glue's almost out. It's time to order more. All right. So we now have 2 little jars. Like I said, I did one that was kind of more of masculine theme and one that was, you know, more girly for my daughter. So that way you could see the different colors. And kind of be able to take a look at, you know, your options, because, you know, some people aren't pink people. I don't do a lot of pink in my house, but, you know, my daughter likes pink. So hers is more of the pink colors. the little zip strip on here, the pink rosette. Like I said, most of this is cut out of the Perfect Match items. And then this one was for a son, and so it's more guyish. It's got, you know, the toffee colors, the red and the black, the plaid, you know, just gives you kind of a different look depending on how you, depending on the colors you choose. And like I said, you could do these for any type of holidays. You can make these for a bunch of coworkers, for a bunch of family members, and they're really quick and fast. I mean, you guys, I've shown you guys how you can duplicate your project when you go to make it. So you literally could cut all of them out in one session and have, you know, make all of these fun jars to be able to give to people. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I can't wait to see what you guys create.